Hail to the king, baby.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's the GBB Podcast. I'm here with Hyacsho and Kirk, or Kirk Collects.
What's up? What's up?
All right, guys.
How's it going?
How have you been?
Good. Just waking up.
Fine.
Fine. I love that one. Fine.
It's always the weirdest thing when I talk to you guys because I'm on the other side of the planet apparently.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm like
it's
getting ready
nighttime
to
for you.
call it a night. It is.
Yeah, man, you
Although,
live in,
guys,
you living
thanks
in the
so much.
future.
You know what? And I'm gonna let you guys know when shit goes down early, okay? Just so you're aware.
Yeah, let us know when the bombs start dropping.
I'll let you know. You'll be the first.
A day ahead.
It is weird though. Like, thanks for jumping on like at this time though, guys. I appreciate it. It's a bit earlier.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
I really appreciate it.
It's good.
It's like midday for me, and it's like really early in the morning for him.
It's like,
Love
yeah, it's like 10 a.m. right now, but I had to wake up early anyways. I'm just QCing a video for this week, so
There you go.
yeah.
Oh, very nice. No,
Well, actually,
doing good.
there's a good starting point. I was going to ask you guys what you've been playing, and you can kind of add on to it. But I know you both played Forgive Me, Father 2 and reviewed them. So
Yes, sir.
That was a You go
I was
first.
digging it. Yeah, no, I was really positive about it in my review.
that was a yeah.
Yeah. No, it was good. I think there's some
Good start.
things like it's a good start. It's a solid start. Like gameplay feels good. The story is not there, but hopefully that will. Someone was saying in the comments like, hey, the early access version of Forgive Me Father 1 didn't have the cutscenes and that stuff either. And I actually didn't play the early access version. I
didn't play it either.
1.0.
I just played full release.
Yeah.
Back then,
So
like, Forgive Me Father was this complete unknown anyway. It was just like, so if there was an early access, I'm sure most of us didn't check it out.
yeah, it's like a title that I think kind of grew over time, and I think it did pretty well for Fulcrum since they obviously like got a sequel out quick. But that's definitely one of my reviews. My review for the first one is always kind of lingering in my top videos. Like people are always kind of like finding it. So
It's
yeah, I think
it's
it
a
kind of gained
very
some
interesting
steam.
game.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
and yeah,
good.
like go for it.
No, you're good. You keep going. You keep going.
I'm sorry. I tend to
No, you're
ramble.
fine.
No.
All good.
It was cool. The hand drawn art style. Obviously the classic boom shoot mechanics, and yeah, just the Lovecraftian nature of it. And yeah, the sequel I thought carried all that stuff over. I had some concerns in terms of like, the upgrade system and obviously the madness system. I was like, did these really need to be?
It was a bit lighter this time, though. The madness system was a lot lighter. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, it didn't feel like they were. It felt. I don't know. Was it yours, Kirk? I think it might have been yours. It was solid, but it felt safe. In a lot of ways. I think the story could be fleshed out like a lot if it wants to be. Like I have this idea that I know the developers were saying, "Oh no, you are the priest, definitely." But at the same time, it didn't really feel that way either. It felt like we were kind of hallucinating into a friend's universe because we're traveling through like World War One and everything, which is a nice time period to explore actually for this game. But overall, like the madness system was just like, well, this is fine. I mean, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, I guess. It just feels a little lighter than what I felt the first game did. But I mean, still early days.
Yeah, I mean, I was even a little harsher. I kept forgetting I had it. Like I kept having to remind myself.
Completely.
Like, oh yeah, there's a madness thing. And that's the thing. Like I got through most of that feeling I was just fine with my arsenal. I mean, that's definitely that's very subjective. I mean, maybe some people were like, I needed it, but like it was the final boss, and I love the final boss. Final boss was dope, but like, or the boss of this build, but like that's when I felt like I actually needed it. Every other combat scenario before that, I was like,
Same.
oh yeah, madness.
Exactly. Never use it otherwise. Or only use it in the boss fight. That was it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. We'll
Yeah,
see where the game goes.
what always kind of drew me to the first one, and when I mentioned it to Hyacsho and stuff, was it felt like original Doom in a way, but with like Cthulhu monsters and a lot of references to H.P. Lovecraft, like a lot. Like, as I was telling him when he did his stream, like it's like the first or second level, you have the like the purple asteroid, which is a direct reference to Color Out of Space short story by H.P. Lovecraft. And I thought that was really cool because I actually bought that short story like a couple years ago. That was pretty cool.
I think we probably see a lot of that in the final product, like in Final Forgive Me Father 2, because this one felt very light.
There's a lot to pull from.
Emailed my it is, but I emailed my review when I was done to the guy I speak to at Fulcrum. I was like, hey, I hope you like the video. And he was like, hey, you played the wrong version. I'm like, I played the version like you gave me. Sorry, but it's fine. Version. Like I don't shit on you too much. And he's just like, no. I was like, my bro, like I left out a lot in terms of bugs. I fell through the floor so many times in the last few levels. But so I because I knew that when they published the early access, it was going to be fine. But it was just always like, there's a lot still to go. I think for Forgive Me Father 2. So I'm sure I don't think it'll be done in a year though, unless they get more resources.
Yeah, I had kind of a similar situation with that where like I got it and the contact at Fulcrum, Joseph, is it Joseph for you? Or
yes.
Yeah, Joseph. Shout out to Joseph. Joseph rocks.
Yeah,
but like
Joseph rocks. So nice.
He's great. But he sent me the thing. It's like, oh, here's the beta code. And I was like, cool. So I installed it, tried that code, just the copy and paste it in. Didn't work. And I was like, oh, okay. And that happens sometimes, whatever. Go in, everything is fine. But then I hit those last levels, spoilers for anybody still playing FMF2, but like I hit those last levels in the subway and there's like giant chunks of the level like missing. And I'm like,
gone.
Oh, and I finally hit this part.
Weird it is? Sorry, carry on, finish.
I was just gonna say I hit this part where I couldn't progress because like the floor was gone. It was just like this thin walkway to the exit and enemies spawned. It was like one last, I think it was like the abandoned tunnels level maybe, and I couldn't complete it. So I hit up Joseph and was like, hey man, like everything's great, but heads up. And then finally he was like, we fixed the beta. And I was like, huh. And I tried the beta code again and then it worked. And I was like, that's okay. Like that's weird.
So I swear it must have been exactly the same place as you. I found enemies hidden in between the LAN devs. I don't know if that's what they call it in the sense, but like I know from Doom.
Yeah.
And they were hidden in there. I was like, oh, I can shoot them from through the floor. And take them out, and I managed to progress there. It was the weirdest experience ever. There was this one section as well, the entire wall was gone. Now, because it's Cthulhu, I thought it was like one of those episodes from the original Forgive Me Father where, the things are all over the place. I was like, oh, well, that's an interesting design choice. Oh, I wonder why there's no wall here. Meantime, there's supposed to be a wall there, it just bugged out. So I walked straight through the wall.
That's great.
No, at least I'm not alone in that. That's quite an experience.
Wow.
Like Zlim Brodsky also, shout out to Zlim. Like he sent me some images of some of the bugs. He sent me some images.
I haven't watched Slim's review yet. Actually, I saw where he was saying that YouTube says that nobody wants to watch Forgive Me Father 2 reviews or something. Is what he was saying. Like his the algorithm or what recommendations or something did not want people on his channel to see something like that. So he was like heavily promoting it. I'm not sure what he saw that on, but yeah.
I don't know. Like I saw because I did see that with his review, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird." Like, and it went fine for me, and I think he recovered his upcoming shooters video. I think is doing good. I keep an eye on Zlim. He's killing it. That's like one of those creators. I'm like this.
Yeah, this I've been watching Zlim for a while. He's been on like the up and up slope. Like I mean, progressively just
100%.
Constantly over the last couple months, man. Like he's just I can't even remember, like he was way lower sub count than he is now when I first started watching him. And he went from like he was like releasing I don't know, a few videos here and there, I think, when I first started, and now he's like, it's super consistent all the time.
When Zlim started, I'm not very big at all. What do I have? 600 and something, whatever. When I first started, Zlim had like 400 when I met Zlim, and he was just like, oh, we carried on chatting, it was all good. And then like in a month, he had 1,000. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
What happened? And then a month later, he's got 2, and I'm just like, fuck, I suck. What am I doing wrong?
Well,
but
that's
he's
like
doing
similar.
Really great. I watch him a lot as well.
That's like similar. I was talking to, I left a comment on High Functioning Medium's video that he did on the Alan Wake series.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was pretty interesting because he's up to now, like he's over 1,000 or 2,000K, something like that. And I remember when I first started talking to him, and I did a couple collaborations with him, and he was probably around 500 subs or so at that time. And it's cool to just see him, keep going higher and higher. It's really cool.
Yeah, I love it too, because those two particular creators are ones that reached out to me and asked for advice, and like that's, I don't know, it fills me to see them doing well, especially Slim. Like it I don't know, it makes me feel good, because I like High Funk, for instance. I still remember he messaged me on my first Rot review, and he was like, "Hey man, what mic do you use?" And that's where that started with him. And then Slim came into the server and started chatting, and I've given them both advice in terms of like video creation, but more so like, hey, here's like the signs you're burning out, watch out for this. Or like,
oh, that's good.
Oh yeah, I've gone through it a few, because I work as an editor professionally, so I've gone through burnout in that. I've gone through burnout in YouTube, and I've like, even this last year I had to kind of like chill a bit, just because I was getting exhausted. But like, yeah, I think both those guys have great attitudes on it. They're good. They're really I don't know, they work their asses off. It's impressive. I mean, Slim has 2 kids. That alone, I'm like, how are you doing this? That's what freaks me
out. That's what freaks me out with Slim. He's got 2 kids. He's got a full-time job, like, and then he comes down, and then I just see a new video every other day. It's like, damn, Slim. Are you okay? Is everything fine? And if everything's fine, geez, dude, keep rocking.
You're right.
Like, I have a friend as well, who we're not going to mention him, but he has to change his Twitter handle because it says Lord of the Rings and not what it should be. And he needs to be careful about burning out too, because he just publishes videos every day.
Yeah, every day, like every single day.
Basically, it gets tough.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty consistent releasing videos like every week for a while. I'm about to go on a pretty long hiatus, but I mean, I'll still be doing this stuff like podcasts and everything. They're not nearly as time consuming to edit, even though they would seem like they are, but they're really not. Unless a bunch of things, go wrong, which I think when one of my last podcasts, there was a lot of like issues, and I had to edit, like that took forever. I had to edit like segments where this cut out and this happened. And so when that doesn't happen though, these are not that hard to edit compared to like piecing together your normal video.
Totally. Well, I imagine for you, it's just where you're just making a multicam and switching between the cameras. Like, yeah. I mean, you can do that with there's AI programs that will do that for you now, which is crazy.
AI videos are nuts. They're so weird.
Yeah.
Speaking of pace, though, Kirk, you're capable of doing literally it's your slogan, it's 1 a week. But the depth of what you're able to do, how we can't swear. How the fuck do you manage that once a week? This is coming from a guy that has watched your stuff. I emailed 100 creators when I first started my YouTube channel. All right, I was like, hey guys, I'm this, not asking for anything, just wanted to say hello. And you're one of the 5 that emailed me back.
Oh,
and you give the same advice that you gave 3 years later on your server the other day. But still, man, I don't know how you're able to manage 1 video a week. What is your process to manage that every week?
An ongoing one that sometimes is good, sometimes is insane. No, I mean, I try to. I know, like, one thing I tell people is like I write as I go, like as I play the game. I have my computer open or my laptop, whatever I'm writing in, it's right there. I'm writing as I go.
That's something I've often done as well.
Yeah, because the writing process, the editing. So I've been editing professionally since 2013, 2014 on, insanely. I started down in LA. I used to work for this company called it was DirecTV Audience, which it later turned into AT&T Audience, but I used to do documentaries on there, and that was like a small 4-person team. Like we would have like a $200,000 budget and make stuff look like it cost $1 million, and that was, I mean, it was hell working in that, but that like kind of shaped me and made me really good at making quick creative decisions, and just gave me a good gut for it. Gave me good instincts for it. So I mean, that's what I tell people a lot is like, truly, the more you do this, the better you will get. Like it's to the point where like, shoot, I'll be halfway through playing a game and I'll hit a sequence and I'll go like, oh, this song is cool, and this, I could probably cut a cool montage out of this. Let me write that down. Remember that for later. But yeah, I mean, it's just because I've been doing it a long time, and I even though the videos I put out, I try to make look really good, but it's actually like the edits are usually pretty simple, and like I don't do a lot of music editing, like in terms of slicing stuff. I'll fade music out into, you know, gameplay so I don't have to worry about stingers. And then I hop between different editing programs, but I use Final Cut. A big reason for that is the keyword system, where it's essentially like hashtagging footage. So,
Oh wow.
you know, let's say there's something similar in Premiere, and there's ways to create something similar in Premiere. But yeah, let's say I'm going through Doom, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going through, and there's like footage of the chain gun. Okay, in, out, Command K, and then a keyword menu pops up, chain gun. And then I do that for the shotgun, then I do that for the super shotgun. And then so when I'm editing, literally like listed are the keywords. If I click chain gun, then every instance of keyworded chain gun pops up right there. So it's like, cool, that in the timeline.
Cool, yeah.
So I have like a lot of it is just like compressing time with like particular tools I'm using, and then just being really smart. Yeah, writing as I go. I don't start recording gameplay footage until maybe 3 or 4 levels in, because by then I know like I'm a little bit better at the game. I get to experience the game as a gamer, and I'm not focused on recording stuff. And then and if I'm reviewing something, I don't need to capture the whole game. I just need to get like you know, maybe a third of it, maybe half. If I'm doing like a big
so do you just record like clips, like sections?
I'll record whole levels, like, but it's really just like, so for Forgive Me Father, I think I only recorded, so there's 9 levels including the hub. I think I recorded like 6 levels of it, just first pass, and went from there. And if I'm editing and I'm like, this gameplay sucks, then I'll go back and like redo it. But yeah, and out of there I go through keyword, and you know, just
cool.
Go from there.
That's nuts.
Hopefully that makes sense.
I know, no, it does. I think Highfunk actually mentioned it. He uses Highfunk, I think so. Might have been. He was saying he uses replay buffer quite a lot. So it saves a lot on storage and instances. So while he's playing, he'll just go forth, he'll just enjoy the game, and then he'll be like, oh, actually, that was pretty sick. Click the replay buffer, because he records on OBS, for example, and just saves 2 minutes of footage just straight up. And I'm just like,
that's a good way to do it too.
Probably save a lot of time, yeah. Because I mean, if you're going to have a whole section, a good example, I think it was Supplies, right? Freaking awesome game. And Supplies has this really cool section where you can use the chain gun or a chain gun. And I played that once. It was really amazing. I was like, that is epic. And I used that in one of my videos, and that was sick. But there's so many games like that where you have these moments. It's just awesome gameplay moments. And that it's cool to just save the buffer. You've got that little section, and then you go. But it's always been a struggle for me, because I mean, I'm sitting here. I mean, you know, some games, like I just finished Iron Fury Aftershock now, actually tonight, finally, and recording that, playing with that. I know Iron Fury is a long game. The original's long. Aftershock's not that long, but long enough, right? Some games are quite thick in terms of footage. To record and save, and then scrub. That's the next thing, is when you're scrubbing to get all the footage. I realize if I have all the footage there, it's pretty straightforward. I suppose that's where something like your keyword thing comes in. Pretty straightforward to grab what you need, throw it in, plus you're done.
I still need to, like, you know, I'm fast forwarding through footage just watching, and that's usually when I'll throw like a podcast on while I'll do it. But like, if I see something like, oh, that looks cool, and then it's just a process. I remember when I first started out, Mandalore Gaming had a great video on like, and he was saying like it's a constant process of always editing. So like, like I'll let me see. I lost my train of thought a little bit. I try to do like a little section every day, and then as I'm going and putting stuff together, that's when I'm saying like, oh, I can compress that and say that better, or like, oh, I need some sort of punctuation here, you know, a little bit of gameplay to get that going. And I'll keyword that stuff too, like, ooh, this feels like a good punctuation, this feels like a good little moment, you know, like a shotgun blowing somebody apart. It's like, ooh, that can be a nice transition. I'll mark that stuff. But you know, it's always just going back, watching through, like cooking, always tasting, always watching through. Okay, is this good? Is this good? And then like jokes, like humor. I never write humor into my scripts. Any joke or any humorous moment is always while I'm editing, because I'll put it together and I'll think, oh, that's kind of funny, and I'll throw it in. And if I giggle at it, then I'll leave it. And if I'm like, nah, it's cringe, I'll take it out. So like, it's a ongoing process. But and you know, everything else, especially with alongside the YouTube stuff, I'm also cutting a music doc at the moment. So right now it's a matter of like, okay, cool. Today we're going to record and cut together the like intro and the graphics section. Cool. Set that aside. Tomorrow I'll do this. So it's taking it little pieces at a time. And then the first things I always do, I try to do at least, is like I do the thumbnail first out of everything, because I've had so many nights.
Do that as well.
Yeah, it's such a pain in the ass when it's like, oh, cool, the video's exported. Fuck, I have to do the thumbnail.
Yeah. I always try to like. Usually it's like the idea pops in my head or whatever. I write down the idea and then I make a thumbnail. And sometimes that video is what I'm doing next. Sometimes it's like way far off, but usually I go idea, wrote down, thumbnail, then start work on a video.
Yeah, and title too, which is every YouTuber does that. Title, what are your keywords right off the bat? But like, I also say, like, get the annoying busy work out of the way first, and then just leave the rest of it, the creative stuff or troubleshooting, in case you upload a video, you get a copyright hit or something, and I've had some
that's always fun to deal with.
frustrating nights. Oh boy, like, you want to know why I haven't had more Quake videos? Yeah, because Trent Reznor did that soundtrack, so that's
so the whole Quake soundtrack, the Quake soundtrack is all copyrighted?
Yeah, when I first did my here's a fun story. So when I did my review for Quake Remastered, I used it in there, and I use the soundtracks from just fair use. It's like, well, I'm talking about the game in review capacity. I am changing it, like. And it's been fine. And this instance, like, I got the hit, not like a strike, but just like a claim. I was like, I don't know. I was like, screw it, let me challenge it. And it took like a month. It took a month to go through, and it only went through because it expired. Whoever holds that music license. Oh yeah,
I've had that.
Didn't even check it. So, but yeah, they'll hold your ad money in escrow, and if you lose it, that all goes to them. If you get it, so that ever since then, I've been like, okay. And usually I don't run into that. And I've had creators like Zan, the creator of like Hedon, however you say it. Like he hit me up and was like, hey, are you getting any copyright things? I want to make sure. I was like, oh no, man, I've been good. Thank you for reaching out.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed like mostly like music that's used in video games created by the developers typically never has that issue. Usually never has a issue of copyright claim or strike or anything like that.
But I've had it where guys take chances, mate. Some company, random company, fake company, bullshit company will just be like, we're claiming this. I'm like,
claiming music that someone else made.
This is the wrong song. Yeah.
Gotcha. Firstly, so they'll just be like, oh, this sounds like a similar thing or something, and then they claim it. Yeah, see, that's a weird one, but
bullshit.
Most of the time,
I challenge every single one.
I mean, that's fair. I have one copyright claim. Might even be a strike. I can't remember, on one video that's from like a couple years ago when I did this is before I kind of got better at making reviews and stuff, but it was for the Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy game, which that entire game was full of copyrighted music. And there was like a whole section where like a whole half of a song plays, and it's like used in this piece that I thought was cool. But I don't make any money, so I wasn't really thinking about that. But then I got the claim, and I was like, dang, I was thinking about it as, it's in the game, but the developers got rights for it, but like we don't have rights to use it on YouTube or to stream it. Yeah. So that's just a whole nother thing. Which, here's the crazy part, is that game, they made an entire band with its own music. So like if you do the copyright mode, it'll only play the music that they created, which that music is copyright free, because there's like a whole band that's called Star-Lord, which is their backstory for the character and everything.
That's pretty cool.
It's a metal band. Great. It's actually really good.
Nice. Yeah, I've been noticing a lot more games doing that, and which much appreciated.
It's kind of better than having to pay for copyright and so on.
Absolutely. And there's YouTube's being better about like revenue sharing with certain songs and just opting into that, which I think is fair.
There's another thing that I dislike about the whole copyright aspect of things. See, I get a lot of my footage through the Xbox game captures, which is how I record most of my videos. It's a process, and it's not the best one, but it's how I do a lot of my videos. And so some games you can't do captures. Now, it's not very many, but there's a few, especially older games. So like, for instance, I'm working on a Darkness 2 video. I was going to record my footage on Xbox because it's backwards compatible, like I would typically do. But I've also used OBS for a few videos. Okay, well, I go to record footage. It's not doable because there is both copyright music as well as I think Darkness 2 might have a movie in it or something. The Darkness 1 also has this issue. There's an entire movie in the Darkness 1 that you can watch. The entirety of this movie, like 2 hours long. You can watch it sitting on the couch with Jenny at like early in the game. Yeah, a whole movie.
Oh, yeah.
So both of those games are barred from being able to capture footage completely. Like, it does not let you do it. And you can go in there and like try to figure out why. And it's because it has copyrighted material. And since the game released whenever, technically the studios in the game don't even really have the rights to even have that music in them anymore because it's so far past the release date. They had it during the time of development, but it's now no longer okay, so then you can't capture footage. Whereas like something like High on Life, they had several movies that they bought the rights for, and you can record footage of that game. But that's just because it's currently in the period of its release, and the copyright still exists. But you could still get a strike, but you can record the footage on Xbox. So I think that's kind of dumb. Like, okay, like it's on you. Like, it's on you if you record the movie or the music and put it in your video or something. It shouldn't be Xbox's problem. So maybe there's another reason why they don't allow you to do it, but it only happens with copyrighted stuff. And once again, I just recently beat Prey 2006, and I was gonna make a video at some point, so I was gonna go ahead and record some of it. And the beginning with Don't Fear the Reaper is copyrighted. So guess what? Yeah. Just because that's not the only copyrighted song in the game. They do play a few later on in the game and stuff. But just because of those few songs that exist in the game, you can't record footage anywhere in the game, which is just stupid. And I hate that. That's a bit weird. The issue with that is, like, when I do go around to making a video, I don't have like a good capture card. You can't get Prey on PC. So I'll have to, I bought a cheap, wait, hold on. I bought you can get it on Xbox Marketplace and PlayAsia too. But
PlayAsia. That's how I got my copy. I have a copy of Prey 2006 on my PC.
So you got it on PC from PlayAsia?
Yeah, they'll give you like even though it's not on the Steam Marketplace. I think it was through PlayAsia. Even though it's not on the Steam Marketplace, they give you a Steam code and you can get it through there. But yeah, I mean, I have a funny feeling we're going to be talking about Prey a lot in this podcast. But like,
pretty possible.
I just have to vocalize, like, God damn, it's so dumb Bethesda took that off. Call it Prey Classic. Oh. Like, why is it not on there? Call it.
Yeah, it's really stupid. Was it on Steam before?
I assume it was.
I feel like it was.
I don't know if it was ever on there. But it might have been, but I can say that you can buy Prey 2006, I think, on the Xbox store. Like, you can buy it on the digital Xbox store. I don't know if you can buy it off of there and play it on PC, though. I have a feeling that you can't. But I have a physical copy, so that's how I played it. But the issue will be, I'm either going to have to try to go on like PlayAsia and something and buy it for PC when I do want to make a video and just record through OBS like I do PC games. I did buy like a little USB capture card thing that I was going to use for recording PS2 and original Xbox gameplay.
That's cool.
But then I found out that it has to be...
Start with this. Start with this. It's a little bit of an investment. This is the S. These are pretty cheap right now. I'm probably about to upgrade this soon, but start with this, man.
How much was that?
I think it's cheaper now. At the time, I think I paid like $150 for this on sale.
Yeah, I mean, the one that I bought was like $20. So it's not good, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it's somewhere to start. Well, I was saying, like, when I first started, my initial videos were captured off of PlayStation Capture. I captured off of my console too, and it's actually good advice for anybody starting out. If you're like, if you have that capture card, your console has it, and like you can. Sometimes it's tricky on PC, but like your console has it. It's a great place to start. And then when I finally kind of pulled the trigger is when I was like, well, I want to do a video on Doom Eternal, and PlayStation 4 Pro at the time couldn't do 60 FPS capture. And it's like, there is no way in hell I'm doing capturing Doom Eternal
FPS,
at 30.
Yeah, no.
Hell no. Although, funnily enough, I did review the Switch version of it, which was at 30. So, yeah. but
so I haven't tested that capture card yet. The issue I ran into for PS2 and stuff is that I have to get a very specific one to record PS2 gameplay. Because it has to have the like audio video cables or something, or like a connection port for that. Because this one is like it's basically HDMI that goes into the thing and then into your computer from the TV. So I can record like 360, Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and stuff like that. I just can't record anything that's not HDMI. So I'm going to try it soon to see if it's even worth the crap. And if it's not, then I'll just throw it away and just say, oh no, $20 down the drain. But it's better than if I spent more and it didn't work.
The thing is, Elgato, like I used also sound like you know, you go budget, what works, what can I afford, you know, that whole kind of thing when it comes to production, streaming. Streaming has a lot of extra shit, which, you know, you don't think about. But it's a lot of the extra little things. Really and truly, I've been trying to, just using this microphone arm as an easy example, Elgato just has really good stuff. Like they really do. It's not like, oh, they're the Apple of streaming and recording gear and everything. They really have very good, like, high quality stuff that you can rely on. And then when you buy it, you're actually like, you know what? I've been suffering for 2 years with the rubbish microphone arms from Amazon. This is excellent. You know, and I just had to pay an extra few $100, my currency. But, like, you know, a lot of the Elgato stuff, like the capture card, it just, when it works, and it just works so well when it comes to a lot of their products. At least I've found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like they got some pretty good stuff overall. I got this like $50 mic right here.
There you go.
Nice.
It works. It works pretty good.
Little, like $100 lights things. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, lights.
But I was, you know, Prey 2006 is a good game. I mean, I don't know if either of you beat it.
I need that game.
Wait, so you haven't played? Have you played it? Hyacsho?
Which one are you?
Me?
Yeah.
We can't see you putting it. You know what? All right, true story. All right, I don't know if it was an international magazine in South Africa where I'm from. They had our version of PC Gamer, right? And it used to come with the demo discs. All right, where you guys from? I'm sure you had like disc demos and everything like that.
I have one on Xbox right now.
One of the games on that. There you go. And one of them was Prey 2006. And dude, sick. You know, it was great. I put that in, and then it finished because it was just a demo. Very sad. That's as far as I got. So, but then when I got older and I had adult money, I was like, oh, I want to get this game. And I want to finish it. I'm going to make a video out of it. And this was like many years ago. I'm going to make a video out of it. That's going to be great. And then I haven't been able to find it. No,
that's the issue with Prey 2006 right now, especially since Bethesda owns the rights. They're not really pushing it out there like availability other than like the Xbox store. That's the only thing you can really buy it on unless you can get it the way he said. Like, they're not pushing it very hard. I don't even know if they even care if anyone else plays it ever again, honestly. But either way, really good game. And I finished it and I was like, you know, because the first time I ever played Prey 2006, I got known about it for a long time. I played the demo on Xbox 360 that they had that you can still download right now. That's how I originally played it. And that intro, like, alone stuck in my mind from the time I played that demo as a kid till now. Like, it's... And I finally beat the game, and I was like, damn, this is a good game. I was like... And for some of the crap that it gets, and then other people are like, oh, it's so amazing. Like, between the way they implement portals and some other things, like...
Portals, man.
They really kind of inspired, like... They inspired several games without anybody even noticing it, basically.
Yeah, it's one of the most creative shooters ever made. I mean, I beat it, way back in the day when I first played it on PC, and then like I said, I didn't beat it, but I bought it again like a year or two ago and played through a big. It's just, dude, it's just so solid.
Dude, some of the best gun designs ever, like. The coolest
guns are nuts.
Dude, the coolest like alien like H.R. Geiger kind of like weapons kind of thing. Like they're just weird and out there. The shotgun is my favorite. I love that damn thing. Like it's just it's so cool. As soon as you get it too, you're just like running down hallways, bow, bow, and it's just instant kill over and over. Like it felt great. And that one weird little machine gun that also shoots like alien grenades. It's like looks like a scorpion tail kind of thing. That one was cool too.
That one's cool. The grenades
You know
that are
what?
just legs
Oh.
you rip off of a thing.
Yes, you get a little like it's a little crab thing, and you just like
Yeah.
rip the leg off like it's a pin, and then you toss it, and it makes a noise and just go, and you see like the
that's
goo
great.
everywhere. Like, dude, that game, and a lot of people, oh man, the portals are just, this and that, but it's like, man, I mean, what they did with the portals and how like trippy it is fantastic, and like you're playing levels upside down, and it was oddly more of a puzzle game than you'd think. Yeah, of course, Portal took that and ran with it and was like, hey,
Sure.
let's make this a whole mechanic into like 3 different games and go crazy with it, right? But, I mean, it started with Prey. You got to give them credit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember a section in that where you kind of shrunk down into a little mini planet.
Yep.
through a
That was like
portal
very
that you had
early
to
in the
jump
game,
through, and
yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
as far as the demo went, okay, that's all I got.
But then the enemy walks up and looks at you.
Yeah.
You're like in a glass
He's
cage.
giant. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember. Your character's like,
Just to-
your character's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
pretty much.
And then the
I
dude
mean,
spawns
just
in and then you
insane.
start fighting. It's cool.
Such a great game, man.
Oh, it's
I need to
good.
get it.
And if you ever get it,
Figure it
like,
out.
you're going to love it. I promise you that.
No doubt.
Also, like, on the demo thing that you were talking, the demo discs and stuff, like, I still have my original Xbox demo disc, which I don't remember how I got it, but that's how I played Doom 3 for the first time.
Mm.
And that's
cool.
how I played for the first time and the only time in my entire life that I played Dark Watch, which is something I still want to play.
That's a great game.
Yeah, that's something I still
have
wanna
that on
play.
Oh, I haven't heard of that game in so long.
I have that on PS2. PS2,
Yeah.
I beat that for the first time, I think,
Can't
3
remember
years ago.
what else is on that disc, but yeah, I had a demo disc for PS1, which is where I played Medieval for the first time.
Oh, nice.
That was the only place that I played the original Crash as a kid. It was like several. I played Tomb Raider also. That was when I first played Tomb Raider. Was on the PS1 demo disc as well. I could never make it out of the cell for a long time. Like you start in a jail cell and like you have to escape somehow. I was stuck on that thing for years, and then I eventually got out of it. And then it was a really short demo. But yeah,
Old
I think I
games,
might have
they
played
don't hold
that
our
demo
hands,
too.
man. You get- the only way that you ever got good at, well, old games, the only way you got good at games back in the day is that you had to either pick up the magazine locally or you got to wait to go to school. Talk to that
Mhm.
one
yeah,
kid.
yeah. We were talking
That
about that in
one
one of
guy.
your
Yeah.
streams the other day.
Oh, was it? Shit, sorry. Memory like a fish. But, I mean, that's
Yeah,
essentially
like the
how you got it,
Diablo
right?
thing.
Yeah, no other way. There was no Google. There was no, yes, like the Diablo thing. There was no Google. There was nothing like that. You had to go and find out from the older kid at school. Sorry, the
Oh, yeah,
Diablo thing, Kirk, is that Deadforge and I speak a lot about Diablo. And then I will completely and utterly forget
Well,
our entire conversation.
We had a whole podcast
Bring
where
it up.
like we had a podcast and the quarter of it was about Diablo 4, and then he goes and buys Diablo 4, starts playing it. He sends me a DM on Discord and he's like, "Hey, what did you play as?" and this and that, and I'm like, I'm just thinking to myself, this is like exactly what we talked about before. And then he's like,
Literally,
"My
our
bad."
conversation on the game.
Gone.
Oh wow.
But,
Yeah, that Diablo 4 game. That's sure is killing it right now.
Oh, yeah, totes.
Yeah. Well, I actually had a good
Dave.
time with it. I actually talked about it a lot with Ruben from To Games That May Concern. It's really good. I mean, as far as like story and so on, but most people focus on the meta and the grind and the this and the
Totally.
that, and that becomes the whole focus of it. And if you're thinking about it from that standpoint, I'm sure that it gets boring or tedious because that you're making it your whole life versus just playing it as a video game. But as a video game, I'd say it's probably one of the best Diablo games, hands down. Story is phenomenal. I mean, there's like a badass like pre-rendered cutscene of a battle between heaven and hell at the end, near the end of the game. That's just one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
You know
Nice.
what? It is a very, very pretty game.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. Story, you know what? I mean, I prefer to play games like this for the story, for the narrative, that kind of thing, which is probably why I'm not like on the game mechanics side, I'm not enjoying it as much as I enjoyed like Diablo 2, for example, when I was younger, because I used to play Diablo 2. It was like it's the same way I play Doom now, right? I go back once a year, play it on Nightmare, and have a great time, right? I play Diablo 2 in the same way. But for Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 for me, like the story was fine. Diablo 3 got better with time, I think. But I just don't. I'm not about grinding and farming and blah 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 blah. And this is what you gotta. Here's the build. Here's the this. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
sure. But I mean, if that's why you like games, my brother, he's a big fan of games like this, and he just says to me, "Oh, play Path of Exile." I'm like, I don't play those kinds of games for those. Mechanics. I just want to play. And, if it's grim, let it be grim. Let the story be epic, and then let's do some cool powers and shit.
My
but
opinion.
it's not a You see, and then when it comes to the whole grinding thing and flying through a level, I'm just like,
Yeah. So like,
by the way, I haven't finished the story yet. Just FYI.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything other than saying that cutscene's badass, but you'll know what I'm talking about. I mean, I swear to you that thing's almost 5 minutes long. I'm not even kidding. Like it was awesome.
Jeez,
They're the kings of like pre-rendered cutscenes in video games, but Blizzard destroys with those, 100%. Man. And Diablo 4 has like the most pre-rendered cutscenes of any of their games. Like Diablo 3 had maybe like 4 in the whole game, and Diablo 4 has a ton.
Nice.
Sorry, I'm curious. Kirk, did you play it?
No, not yet. I'm curious about it. I don't have the. I didn't play the first 2 Diablos as a kid, so I don't have. I was a Warcraft kid, not World of Warcraft, like Warcraft.
Oh yeah,
original Warcraft.
That's the same. Oh yeah, 2 especially. 2. Warcraft 1 is 2 is a fucking classic, and 3 is amazing. And that's kind of my connection to Blizzard. I was also obsessed with Overwatch until I wasn't, like most people. But yeah, I played through Diablo 3 like when the ultimate version came out, and I know because I know that game went through a whole bunch of nonsense too. A lot of stuff
changed.
But by the time I played it, it was like perfect. So, at least as good as it could be. And that's kind of my attitude with 4. I'm gonna kind of sit back and wait a few years and then catch it in like an ultimate form or game of the year form where there's like because I also got it when the expansion was out. So when I played Diablo 3, and I loved I had a lot of fun. But I played the best form of that. Yeah, I'm waiting for that for Diablo 4. That's kind of my attitude.
I dabbled with Blizzard through World of Warcraft slightly, never was big into that game. And so like my first Diablo game to really get into, I played a little bit of D2, but I really got into Diablo 3. My uncle had it on PS3 when they released that version, and I got it on 360. I played it. I mean, I put hundreds of hours in that game. Played every character, and the coolest part was I got to play it with my friends and my brother and my sister because it has 4-player co-op, split screen. And so I put even more hours in that, and this is before like the end game that was on PC didn't even exist at this time, so the only thing you could do is just keep playing the story. And this was also pre-DLC. And then eventually I got the like Xbox One version, which had the DLC and the entirety of the end game, so that was another like ton of hours that I put in by like I beat the game again, played the DLC, played the end game. So I had a lot of fun with Diablo 3, and that was like, but that was also coming from the perspective of someone who didn't put that much time into the first 2, so I didn't have that nostalgia and that like high of an expectation. But that was my introduction to Blizzard. I played a good bit of Overwatch, but I'll never forgive them for helping kill Battleborn. So that's a whole nother thing.
That's an interesting game. I always wanted to try Battleborn, and then it just never did anything.
Yeah.
And by the time I was ready, it's gone.
You know, I don't want to go crazy into it, but like, so Battleborn, it was like if you took a MOBA, but made it first person with that flair of Borderlands and Gearbox. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite multiplayer games to ever exist. I played that game religiously. I reached like the initial max level, which was like 100. They made it to 120. I don't think I ever made it there. I mean, I had so much time in that. I played every DLC, and all the DLC was like either characters or story like missions because they had a story mode. I played everything. Yeah. I actually joined a pro/amateur competitive team for a while.
Oh, wow.
Played a few games before they slowly shut down, and then they had bots introduced and bots online, all this other stuff. And then when the game shut down, they never made it to where you could play bots and stuff offline or even the story. So if you go to try to play that game now, you can't. Like I sometimes put it into my Xbox, you know, and I'm just like, maybe it'll work. And then it doesn't. And then I cry and curl up in the fetal position and just die a little inside.
One magical night. That's a shame.
There's actually people modding, trying to mod and break into the files of the game to try to make a way to play the game again. on
that's
PC,
good.
because I
That's
mean
good.
they've dropped all support. So I mean I don't even think 2K or Gearbox really gives a shit. But it wasn't really Gearbox's fault. What was his name? Randy Varnell was the head of that team and stuff. And 2K did the same crap to Turtle Rock and Evolve, where the game had a fan base, it was doing well, but it wasn't quite doing well enough for their standards. Like, I don't know what the competitor for Evolve at the time would have been, but like for Battleborn, it's just not as, it doesn't have the player base of Overwatch. I'm like, yeah, well, it's a small branch of Gearbox versus Blizzard. What the hell do you expect? It's like, and
Evolve was a really interesting idea, though.
It was, yeah. And I mean, I would
go. Very interesting idea.
I would say that Evolve helped, even though it was there and it was gone so quick, it helped evolve the co-op shooter genre that team from Valve created with Left 4 Dead mostly. It helped evolve it into a direction that was more like asymmetric horror games. And it was actually like an asymmetric multiplayer game prior to games like Friday the 13th and Dead by Daylight popularizing them. And I say Friday the 13th first because it came before Dead by Daylight, and Dead by Daylight took its thunder.
Friday, it's such a bummer how Friday the 13th turned out, because even though that game was a jank fest, I had so much fun playing it.
It was great, yeah. I mean, that's my favorite horror franchise, man. I love that thing. But hey, at least you can still play it offline. You can still play with bots, and you can still play the story mode thing that they added. So they didn't screw it up like Battleborn.
Yeah, and they weren't in a situation where it wasn't like, oh, we can't compete. No, they were doing fine. It was just the bullshit with the Friday the 13th license.
Yeah,
you know,
that allowed them, that stopped them. That stopped them from releasing the final DLC because of the people fighting over the rights. Which I think they hit a point where it's back to normal, but they also just keep challenging it or whatever. So we'll probably never see a movie for the next 10 years. But
it seems like
they did keep the
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Well, I'm sorry, but they did keep the servers. They went from peer-to-peer servers to having like dedicated servers back to peer-to-peer. Like right now, it's still peer-to-peer, and then but at the end of this year, December, you will no longer be able to buy Friday the 13th on digital stores, and there will be no more servers at all.
I actually didn't know this
because the studio because Gun Media went on to make the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game that just came out. So they got another studio to keep the servers rolling and doing like patches and stuff over the last probably 2 to 3 years. And now that studio is, I guess, moving on to probably be support for the Texas Chainsaw game.
Which that sucks, but I can understand that business decision of that.
But I mean, especially the game was up for 5, 6 years, 7 years, like that. So
yeah, and I haven't had a chance to play Texas Chainsaw Massacre yet.
I haven't had it either, but it looks good.
It looks good, and it seems like that fan base has pretty much moved over. I mean,
of course, yeah.
Moved over there.
Even though it's a shame, like that's going away. It's still Friday the 13th is going away. They're still iterating.
Yeah. You know? And so here's a cool thing: is like. It's interesting to see Evolve as it's kind of the predecessor of that asymmetric thing, but it's also interesting to see that if it wasn't for Friday the 13th and more so Friday the 13th than Dead by Daylight, but like that asymmetric genre being it was popularized more so by Dead by Daylight, but it was because of the licensed nature of Friday the 13th that we went on to get stuff like Texas Chainsaw Massacre game as an asymmetric multiplayer. We're also getting Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah, what a random one.
Which is another studio, but it's the same concept.
Predator
and the Predator Hunting Grounds.
Really
but that Predator. Studio went on to make Ghostbusters: Spirits Unleashed, which I still need to play, which is an asymmetric game as well. And they just released a story DLC and like multiple characters, and apparently has a pretty big fan base, more so than Predator did. And then we have stuff like the Evil Dead game, which is fantastic in my opinion. Another asymmetric horror game.
I want to play that.
It's really good, really good. The base asymmetric multiplayer stuff's good. The little story missions they got are good. They actually added in Castle Kandahar from Army of Darkness. They got the original, like the entirety of the map is like everything between like Evil Dead 1 to Army of Darkness, not counting in the past. And They actually added a battle royale mode to that game just for a free update, just the hell of it, I guess. Which I haven't played, but I've seen people playing it, and it looks fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's another one I've yet. My Discord moderator, shout out to Silver. He was
Silver's
super into that. Silver's the man.
Silver sounds like a really cool chap. I need to say hi to him at some stage again.
I actually...
Oh, please do.
I've been
Please
meaning
do.
to have Silver on the podcast for a while, and I've told him, like, hey, man, yeah, we're going to do that. And then, like, I forget.
Well, I have a funny feeling you'll be hitting you up now.
Yeah, and then I message him, and I'm like, hey, man, sorry about that. Like, he's a cool guy, man. He actually... Me and him we were going to play some games together and stuff. We still haven't got around to it, just scheduling and stuff like that. But he actually bought me the Dead Island remasters on PC because I had the regular ones already. I'm a huge Dead Island fan, but I just hadn't bought the remasters on PC because I played them on Xbox. And we were talking about playing it, and I was like, yeah, I don't have the newer ones. And then I get a DM with a code, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah,
and I was like, hell yeah, man. I was like, you didn't need to do that, but thanks.
That's the type of guy he is. Like he
Awesome.
He loves being generous and like, throwing games out to people. And dude, he's my moderator. He's Slim's moderator. He moderates a couple others.
That's
cool. I
cool.
tell him over and over again, I'm like, dude, you are a community manager for a gaming studio. Like please go.
I mean, if he's doing that much, like that's awesome. That's impressive. Like he definitely should strive for something.
Cool.
Yeah.
He's passionate about it. I mean, I'm the type I'm kind of a light touch on my Discord server. I just like it to be a place where people hang out. Sometimes I come in and talk because frankly, like I am the type where it's like if I'm on my computer all day, I'm like, dude, I need to go outside. I need to get away from this. Like I need time to myself.
Actually, that reminds me. There's something from like when you're constantly in front of like it's more so computer screen than like TV because you're closer. But I've felt before like when editing videos or playing games and editing and doing all that, like it drains me. Like it just takes all the energy out of my face and just like I'm over here like
it's mentally exhausting. So sometimes it's hard for me to be like social on the Discord and I'll dip in and say hi to people or people. I try when the days I put out videos, like Sundays are usually the day where I'll hop in there and be like, all right, I'm chatting. What are we doing? Let's hop in.
I'm exactly the same, man.
I'm trying to be a little better about it because, people, especially the voice, like whenever I pop into voice chat, that's when I get like developers popping in saying hi. And that's how, you've been around for a couple of those. And
I joined that one and I was not expecting there to be developers in there. I was like, wait.
I know.
What's funny is I went on and talked to, what is it? Osric?
Ostreak. Yeah.
Ostreak, yeah. I continued talking to him after everybody left for like an hour or so or longer for a while. Cool guy, actually, very cool guy. We were talking all about Viscerafest, and then I went on to buy Viscerafest later on.
Oh yeah.
And dude, that game is fun. Like
so much fun.
It's
so much fun.
It's addictingly. I had to take a break a little while back because it's addictingly fun. Like it's like super challenging. It's almost like if you just quit moving, you're gonna die. Like
yeah.
Yes.
But the bunny hopping gameplay of it, but then at the same time, it has this weird like interactivity of a build engine game. Because you can go like mess with the dryers and the sinks and the lights and stuff. I'm like, why? Like, it's so weird that that's in there with how fast paced it is, but there's so much intricacy to it. And I thought that was really cool.
I really want to go back and finish that game up. It's one of the when we had the boomer shooter renaissance. It was one of the games that came out of like the next phase of all that. Viscerafest, a few others I can't think of now, but it was one of those good solid games that you just. It was part of all that hype, and everyone was just like, "Oh my word, this." There was like it felt like there was a new boomer shooter every week.
Yeah.
And Viscerafest was one of those, and I think I streamed it like back in the day when I streamed a lot more on Twitch, and man, it's such a solid experience. It's come so far.
It's so good, man. Like it
was so different as well. So
it impresses me like how good it is. I don't know how many chapters it has currently. Is it just the one chapter or is it 2 chapters? 2 chapters?
It's 2 chapters out, but they're remaking the first chapter.
Yeah, so he's remaking the first chapter, and he's going to release the 3rd chapter, and he's trying to do all that by the beginning of next year, I think, right?
Yeah, that dude is busy. And
he sent me he sent me a picture in that chat of of one of the levels from chapter 1 remastered or whatever. And it looks even better. Like it looks really good. Like he's even messing with the layout and everything. That's what's really cool.
Yeah. No, that game like pokes the Hotline Miami part of my brain,
yeah.
where it's just like I have to get this
Yeah,
done,
yeah.
and it's just
and it's also
so
cool though,
satisfying.
like the way that you strategically place your own spawn points, like your own checkpoints, those flags that you just stick down in the ground. And okay, so luckily I beat the boss, but it was like one of the first two bosses of chapter 1. I had like 2 checkpoint things and I just hadn't used them, and it was a while back. And I was like, okay, I'm just keep going. And then I hit a point where it says you can't save now. And I was like, no. And then I go in and it's a boss fight, and I was like, God, if I die here, I have to go back so far. And luckily I didn't die, but I would have lost it because it was so far back. But it's a cool challenge that you can do that.
No, it's a good. I'm very excited for that to come out. I feel bad too because I mean, I remember when the second chapter came out, I just didn't have time to review it. But then I found out like there was some issues with it, and I was like, okay, well maybe I'll wait on this. And then like a year after that, that's when he finally joined the server and we started chatting. And then he told me just, I don't want to say, I don't think it's my place to say it, but yeah, that game has been through some uphill stuff, like just trying to get it done with his team and the publisher. So it's good. I'm happy that the end is somewhat in sight. But yeah, like whenever he comes on. Publisher? No, it's same publisher. There's just been some stuff with the publisher. That's all I'll say.
Sure.
But like, yeah, whenever he's popped into the server to chat, he's always working. And not like working, he's doing like 3 things at once. And also chatting about shooters and you know, throwing crazy hot takes at us. We're like, what? But he's good. He's young too. He's only like, well, I mean, okay, young by my standards, but like he's only like 21,
young by
22.
my standards.
No, that's young. No, that's young.
You know,
wait. Okay, since he brought it up, how old are you guys?
I'm 34.
Okay. Hyacsho?
I'm 33.
I'm the youngest here. Yeah.
Yes, you are. That's why I was just like, so I looked at Kirk and I'm like, if Kirk is younger than me, I'm just gonna go and
yeah, I'm 25,
like,
so
a whole share meal of McDonald's on my own. You're 25? That's nice. That's a lovely age.
Yeah, I don't have the secret lab chair just to be cool. I need the back support.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sitting here in just a regular, you know, chair that you have in your kitchen. So.
Oh no. Oh no, your 30-year-old self is gonna hate you.
Yeah. Oh here.
Man, shit.
We were talking Prey earlier, and I'm sure we're gonna get into 2017. But if it'll pop up, I have some things I wanted to show you real quick.
Sure.
See that?
Hey, fuck yeah!
It's not the greatest phone case because it doesn't protect very much, but it says the not a mimic and stuff, which is pretty cool.
Love the sticky. I
got it off like it was like Etsy or something. Nice. No, it was Redbubble, I think. Redbubble, yeah. And then there's this. This was my first ever custom controller that I got made after playing Prey 2017. It's an Xbox, the original Pro controller, and it doubles as both a reference to Prey 2006 and 2017.
Ooh, I like
that. Oh, that's great.
And it's hard to see it with this lighting, but there's like specs, like it's kind of like space, and that's the what's it called, the scope or whatever from Prey 2017, and then you got the bird of prey,
Psychoscope.
Psychoscope, and then
that's so cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, the whole the whole history of that, the name Prey and the brand, and it's like God.
And the crazy part is that Prey 2006 isn't even the original game. The original game was actually like it was originally supposed to be released in like 97 or something, and it was a bit more like Duke 3D kind of thing.
There's screenshots for it out there.
For that. Really?
But they bring it up in a few like documentary type thing. I think even though some people don't like them, the channel Gamers, where it's like spelled GVMERS.
The rise and fall of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
do good shit. They do good shit.
Yeah. I really like their videos and like how in depth they go into stuff. But it is kind of funny. I see a high functioning medium saying how they sound like they're AI generated or something like that. I feel like that dude just has that kind of voice though. He's been doing it for so long, man. Like, but he does so many of them, and they're so in depth and cool. And he always uses like, I think the rise and fall is just like it's just like a marketing thing, because it's never like, oh, this was just the peak of its thing, and then it just died on a burning coals by the end. It was, he just covers the whole history.
It's for that algorithm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's the marketing thing, It's the clickbait. You gotta have it though.
That's always a weird balance of like, what's too clickbaity and what is not. Yeah.
Speaking of Prey, Hyacsho, what is that?
Eh? Ain't that the truth? Oh no, I was just gonna say. Speaking of now, Prey, the eventual final version of it. Now,
which final version? We're talking like Prey 2006 final version, because that's the one we were talking about. 2017. No. So the other one. 17. Okay, I got you.
Yes. Yeah. And 2017. I played it only for the first time a month ago.
Oh wow.
Which I've been told is apparently only one level below blasphemy.
Yeah, it's pretty close to blasphemy, yeah. But we'll let you slide this one time.
I mean, I'm disappointed, but keep going.
Damn, that hurts. But no. I get it though. I get it. I haven't even played that much of it. I started it on the stream. So one of my Discord members, Arch, really creative, crazy guy, very passionate chap, and he's been pushing me to play the Prey for a while. Deadforge, you pushed me, and I streamed it for about 2-3 hours.
I missed both of those streams, by the way, and I feel like it's your fault because you didn't tell me. Just kidding.
You know what? I sometimes, I don't know if you guys have it. I get nervous sometimes with streams, so sometimes
it's actually probably better that I wasn't there. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I'm gonna be like, hey, there's a secret thing over there and another thing over there, and if you duck and cover and jump upside down, it's over there.
Anyway,
probably Osh actually. Probably Osh.
I mean, it's probably Osh, but it's an excellent game. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Bioshock series, all three. With varying preferences, but they're brilliant. And to play a game that is, well, at first felt similar, but is so much more than just that. Yeah. And then also I played Atomic Heart a few months prior to that, and then everyone was like, oh, but you got to play Prey if you're liking Atomic Heart, and Atomic Heart was okay. But I mean, I liked Bioshock so much more, and then we played the System Shock remake, and then I went and played the original System Shock, and that was quite cool. And everyone said, Prey. Then when I eventually played it, I get it. I completely get what all you guys are like this. It is a really great game.
Prey 27
playthrough.
Dude, it is that second playthrough. I'm on like playthrough 3 or 4 or something. I don't know. I can't even remember. But I've played that game so many times. But
same. Yeah.
So Prey 2015 visually, it's like a weird mix like of Dishonored and Bioshock, but a lot of the more rural areas, like the main lounge going into your office, and like the Arboretum and stuff, which you'll see later as you progress Hyacsho, are very Bioshock-esque, like, because they're very, they're the more living quarters-y type places, and even the crew quarters in the game, like they're very Art Deco inspired. And so are like kind of the visual design of the weapons and stuff are kind of that Art Deco alt history kind of thing, which is the big visual design choice of Prey. But I think one of the coolest things is like Prey is everything immersive sim wrapped into one bundle. It's like, it's a spiritual successor to the System Shock series. It's kind of like, like an homage to Deus Ex, to Bioshock, to Arx Fatalis, because it's kind of a space version of that original design, but done more so because it's a space dungeon versus an actual dungeon. And it's an homage to everything. It's a love letter to the entire design philosophy, which is such a cool thing.
By some
yeah, no, it's not like I have 3. I might as well make another one. Good job. Let me note that down real quick.
It's a love letter to all those, and steps it up. It grows it. I mean, just even thinking about it right now. I mean, you can go into space.
Hold on, let me go
fly
play
around.
it while we do this.
Yeah, right. Like you can go into space and then fly around the entirety of the station and go anywhere you want. Like I tell people sometimes, like, okay, imagine Bioshock, but you can go outside in the water Rapture and go like swim around any part of Rapture. Like that's what they pull off and Prey. And like I said, it's that second, because I played through it once and I was like, wow, this is really good. That second playthrough, that's when I was like, holy, especially compared to other Arcane games. Like you can go through Dishonored a few different ways, and like even in Deathloop too. But like,
the amount of choice,
the depth.
The depth as far as both your choices that you make. Well, it's weird. So like the choices you make as far as characters and people, as well as the choices you make as you play, like in real time gameplay, are all just as important, because it all matters way more than you think. Yeah, you can be an alien, like you can be as much Typhon as you want, but then all the security systems will go against you. You can be as human as you want, but then there's also a morality choice connected to killing Typhon. The not specifically Typhon, but the phantoms more so than anything.
The game's about empathy ultimately. The whole game is about empathy. Which is just such a nugget of immersive sims right there, because all like the best immersive sims, that's what they're testing. They're testing your empathy. You know, like it's. Well, see, I want to make I have plans for that video someday too. And let me tell you, it's going to be a.
I mean, so like I tagged Rafael Colantonio one time on Twitter, and I was like, you just really like making morality thought experiments. Things about what it means to be human, and he was like, yeah, pretty much. You know, I mean, and he goes over that because I did an interview with him, and he goes over that in that interview as well. Like that's what he loves to do, is these, like, it's all about the morality and the human element and stuff, which is cool. I would also go as far as to say that Prey was kind of his like swan song from Arcane, you know. They've went in directions since then.
Which is a shame. I mean, I didn't realize, I know this now, but like, you know, when Redfall was coming out, I was hyped on it because of Prey. I've always been like, Arcane Austin is like the stronger of the two. It's the stronger of the, like, Leon's good, Austin. And then obviously everything happened with Redfall, and then I found out afterwards, like, oh, a bunch of the Prey people left, and I'm pretty sure they founded the studio that did Weird West, which if you haven't played that, holy shit, that game's great too. But
Raphael and Julian Roby, I think is how you say his name, as well as Matt Pearsall, which is the guy who was the main sound designer alongside Mick Gordon for Prey. All three are at
whatever that
Wolfeye Studios, and I think
Wolfeye Studios. I
think like 3 or 4 more people who worked at Arcane and worked on Prey also work for Wolfeye. All really cool people. But I mean, and Weird West is phenomenal. Weird West is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
I loved it. I've yet to finish it, unfortunately, but I loved it when I was playing.
If you like the morality, human element stuff, it's got an even better ending, I think, than Prey does in that sense. And I think that you're going to be very surprised at how impactful literally everything you do in that game is. I mean, you might be just as surprised as you were in Prey, like when you hit that end, like how much things mattered.
Yeah, and it's just such a shame, because it's like, obviously that part of Arcane is not in hot shape right now, and it's like, it kind of puts into question if we're gonna get like a proper Prey 2. We did get Moon Crash, which
I was gonna say we got Moon Crash.
That's the next one. Moon Crash is its own lovely thing.
So
I mean,
Moon Crash, I've not finished, which is a weird thing to say for me as a mega Prey fan. I haven't finished it, and there's 2 reasons. One, I just hate the time devotion that you have to have for roguelikes. And I hate that. I mean, I don't hate roguelikes because I think Hades is one of the best of all time, but
just gonna say, you got Hades out there. Yeah.
But
all 3 of us at the same time.
I like that. Hades. Yeah. Hades is great. I love that, and I think roguelike, that aspect of it, in the way that Prey does it, is probably one of the better implementations of that system, because of the way you're playing a like simulation of actual events through the eyes of multiple different people and trying to get the actual outcome. And I've seen the ending and everything like that because I didn't know when I was going to ever beat it. And man, that ending to it is actually really good.
Yeah. No, I thought it was extremely well done and just a cool way to do. Well done.
And they even somehow added like new elements that were not in the initial game as well.
Totally, like new weapons, enemies and everything. Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me not to, whenever I do go through Prey, it's like Moon Crash.
Also, it's like
immediately do it.
Playing on the moon, I mean, it's just cool as hell.
Right? And then, the simulation within the simulation game. Like, it's so interesting that way.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of Deathloop? Did you have a chance to dive into that? Or
so a little bit. So there's an interesting, let's see. So I did play a little bit. I played a handful of hours. I never did finish it. I played it when it finally came out on Series X. And it kind of brings you back to like with the Redfall Deathloop thing, because of Prey and Dishonored 2 both being like epic failures for Arcane, oddly enough. Probably due to marketing more than anything, but they both were epic failures. Yeah, I know Hyacsho. It's surprising, but it's true.
Yeah, sorry.
They were both huge failures. Both financially, they both like I don't even know if they made any profit off of it. Like they sunk too much money into both projects, which is the only reason why Deathloop and Redfall exist, right? Even if there's passion in both games, they exist for a very specific reason. Deathloop mostly so, but what the thing that Deathloop reminded me of the most, which is why I would go on to do a collaboration with High Functioning Medium in his Deathloop video, is because it very much so reminded me of the Bioshock Infinite effect, where Bioshock, huge success, amazing game, and it helped popularize immersive sims, even though it is probably the least immersive sim ever.
Immersive light.
Yeah, exactly. I like to call it immersive sim light. It's a very light immersive sim, but it's probably the best starting point. And without it, we probably wouldn't have immersive sims today.
Totally. Well, we wouldn't have like kind of this resurgence of them for sure.
Yeah, and I think because of Bioshock 2, even though it wasn't by the main team, it didn't do as well.
I'm a Bioshock 2 defender. 2 was great.
I haven't finished 2 yet, but it does seem to be even better than 1 in a lot of ways, actually.
It gets a lot of crap.
Yeah, but because of Bioshock 2 not doing great, and I think, some other immersive sim-like things at the time, and just kind of the way the industry was being pushed, and also, to be honest, Ken Levine always wanted to make this very marketable mainstream game to begin with, and Bioshock was pretty dang close to that, but they perfected that mainstream appeal with Bioshock Infinite. That is the most mainstream. I mean, you want to say MSim light, that game is almost not even MSim light. Like they stripped out every bit of the MSim from Bioshock 1 and 2, and like it's gone. Now the funny part is that Infinite was my first ever Bioshock game. And I really like Infinite. I've always liked Infinite. But going back and then playing Bioshock and a little bit of Bioshock 2, I can see how the disappointment was there for Infinite. I can see that because of some failures and what normal, average, everyday people want changed. They were like, okay, we're going to make this as by the books as we can. The most mainstream element is probably the story, because it's the most convoluted crap ever. But so basically it's great, but like Deathloop is Arcane's Bioshock Infinite, right? Deathloop is Arcane's Bioshock Infinite because of the failure of the prior 2 games, which are peak Arcane, especially Prey. They made something as mainstream as possible. And by that, it's like Deathloop is a mostly linear game, aside from the slight bit of like choice to how you approach things. It's like 4 or 5 levels that you repeat, and they just change the time of day. And then it's like this. It's a roguelike light, where it's not quite full on roguelike like Moon Crash, which is why a bunch of people say Moon Crash is what Deathloop wishes it could have been. And then
that's a I like that hot take.
Yeah. And so I've actually heard several people say that, which is interesting, but but then they do that, which just kind of convolutes the narrative and the way you play Deathloop. Like, I don't think it's done in an okay way, but I'm not like a huge fan of the way they did the pseudo roguelike stuff. I think it would have been better if they just played it straight, like, level to level kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have some of that arcane flair in its visual design, some of its story and lore, and like the amount of ways you can do a lot of things. But it still comes down at the end of the day to being like, you still have to do everything in a specific way to like get the ending. Like, it has to be a specific order and it done in a very specific way to get everybody killed at the same time to reach the end. So it's just like a weird, it's a linear game without being linear and just overcomplicating itself, I felt like. But they did the roguelike elements and the more, it's 100% a shooter more than an M-Sim as well, just like Bioshock Infinite. Like, it has a little bit more like dark,
I don't know if I
or Dishonored
quite
style.
agree with you
Yeah.
on that, because I don't love Deathloop either. But
yeah,
the thing with Infinite is, have you ever looked into the development of Infinite?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were trying to. That's what he was trying to make, and then he had to pare it down. Deathloop. So here's kind of my take on Deathloop, because I agree. I don't like the story. I think there's some failings in that. But what I really enjoyed about Deathloop is I actually felt like Arcane was experimenting with the structure of an immersive sim in really like kind of interesting ways. Because I will argue it is an immersive sim. The systems are there that you can do all sorts of stuff. There's lots of player choice. There is emergent aspects.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite as deep as Prey. But the inherent problem with a lot of immersive sims is you have to play through them multiple times to get that sense. And I mean, that's the thing with Prey, is it's like, you got to go through, you play through it once, and then to experiment again, you got to go through hours. And what I liked about Deathloop is by making the time loop, you get to do that. You get to do that way quicker. So you can, I really did go through every level, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I like that they didn't try to strive to it's basically Dishonored. The gameplay is Dishonored. And I like that they were like, nah, let's do what works. Let's experiment with structure. And I thought it was really fascinating on that part of it. Where the game fell off for me is like, I didn't like the story, and I really hated that we weren't a part of piecing together the mystery. Because it really, the whole thing boils down to like, okay, read that document. Oh, now you have that clue. Yeah. And there's this strategy game called Phantom Doctrine. Have either of you heard of that?
Yes. No. Yes, I've heard of that.
It's basically XCOM, but it's 1960s CIA. And I love, what I really liked about that game is like every mission you can collect intel, and then in between you have those pieces of intel, and you yourself have to take those and find the correlations and put them together and literally investigate what your next mission will be. And I remember playing Deathloop and just thinking like, why didn't they go that direction? Because if you go back to like the original System Shock and Ultima Underworld, like the idea of those games was to have the player as much a part of the experience as possible. Fuck the menus, like get them in there, have them figuring it out. And as much as Arcane, and that's what was kind of frustrating with Deathloop, is as much as I love that they were experimenting with the structure and doing all this stuff. I mean, the what's her face, the woman who comes after you in the co-op mode. That's a glorified Delilah, yeah. I mean, that's just an iteration on the Shodan concept. It's the same idea. Like this thing's just going to come in, and it is, because that's the whole thing with Shodan, is she'll come out of nowhere and mess with you, and that's what it's. There was cool stuff that way, but they kind of failed to realize like, no, you have to put the player into the narrative. You can't just put a bunch of documents in front of them and then, like you said, linearly guide them through the story. Like, no, make them have to solve the story. And I mean, if they ever make a Deathloop 2 or whatever, they do something like that, it's like, dude, go for that.
Deathloop was like by far, like outside of the original Dishonored, probably one of their best selling games ever. And it's easily their best selling since Prey and Dishonored 2. So like if
Dishonored 2
anything
didn't do too hot either.
No. So if anything allows them to eventually do more in the old style that didn't do well being immersive sims, it would be the success of Deathloop, because Redfall was already in like production at the same time as Deathloop, like they were being made at the same time, just like Prey and Dishonored 2. So that the success of Deathloop didn't have anything to do with the success or failure of Redfall, or Redfall even being made. So what happens next, though, I think, at least for Leon, is probably going to be something cool. But as far as Arcane Austin, I have no idea, because Redfall is hot garbage everywhere around. I've heard that it got a new patch that improved it a lot, but it doesn't really improve the fact that it's a pseudo Far Cry whatever.
Yeah, well, look,
rip-off.
I mean, you know what sucks though about Redfall? I know it was maybe. I'm trying to be. Yeah, look, it's a lot happened with Redfall. I think it's just unfortunate because I think, sure, maybe not the most innovative idea in a game, but still one that I think would have been fun if it didn't release completely and utterly broken.
Yeah,
you know, and I think Jared, the best Jared, he streamed it the one day, and he was just like, and he gives, you know, he always gives everyone a fair shake, you know, and he was streaming. He was like, how are you even able to publish this? It's not working. It doesn't work, you know. And that's the thing. It wasn't that it was bad. Well, it was bad, but I mean, it was just utterly broken as well. I'm trying to be very polite.
He's trying to be nice, which is fine, you know. But like,
I mean,
Redfall
that was the unfortunate thing.
Is, aside from being mostly broken, which I mean, I didn't even encounter that many bugs when I played it at launch. But a lot of the issues really was like early on, you know, you're going through like the town, but you're barred from going in certain directions, so it actually takes you down a linear path to like those helicopters that you go after early on, because if you try to go the other ways, you're blocked by red mist that kills you before you can reach the other side. And so I'm like, okay, I already hate that because I can't go wherever I want. It goes for this like Far Cry meets a like Back 4 Blood style shooter, because it's like meant to be played cooperatively, which is already like, why? And then even though like it's such a cool like kind of like Blade the video game fantasy, because like, you know, stabbing the vampires with this, you know, stakes are super cool. The Stephen King type town and all that is fantastic, but man, is it the most shallow game ever? Like the lore is terrible. Like world building is an Arcane strong suit. Even in Deathloop, they have good world building in like stuff that you find or even stuff that you look at, you know. But like, man, I mean, Redfall is so bleak and like it's so shallow. There's nothing there. I mean, you find like a handful of like things, but there's no like, you know, you go to like the gas station. You can't even go into the gas station. You can just barely enter the garage, and like, you don't even see dead bodies. There's like nothing anywhere, you know what I mean? And you get these little checkpoints by going to safe houses, but like there's nothing really going on in them. It's not like there's other people in the safe houses. Nobody populates those areas. The only areas that are populated are the main safe zones, like the big building, like the firehouse at the very beginning. And at the very beginning, they're like, oh, you're going to be able to enter the building from like 8 different directions and blah, 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 like Dishonored style stuff. And you can in that firehouse. Then everything after that, there's like literally one entrance. And you can only go in like every 12th house. And most of the areas are outside. There's no, like, there's very little stealth. Even if it is kind of there, it's the stupidest AI in any video game. Like you can no shit stand in front of 6 guys, full fire every single one of them, and you might not. I don't even know if you'll get shot. But then you'll go up against like a mini boss vampire, and it'll murder you in like 5 seconds. It's just the balancing is terrible, and it's the frame rate is being capped at 30 by default, which I think now I think they might have fixed it. I don't know if it's still 30 or if it's 60 now. I can't remember with that new patch, but at 30, that game runs like ass, and like it's just terrible. It's awful. And then I played co-op with High Functioning Medium when he was working on his video, and it ran even worse than when I was playing by myself. And I was like, I mean, I don't know what to do. I wasn't having a good time. And then he got a little frustrated at me for not giving it much of a chance. And I was like, man, like I played this for several hours before we even played together, and I wasn't having fun. Now I'm playing it with you, where it should be even more fun because everything's more fun with other people, and it's still not fun. Like nothing feels good. Like the movement don't feel good. The frame rate, nothing feels good. Like it's a slog and a chore, like every bit of what you do, and it's just not fun. I can't force myself to have a good time with it if I'm not, enjoying anything. And it's probably one of the only games that I've played in years that made me feel that way. I haven't played very many games that I just hate.
Yeah, it kept me from playing. I didn't play it. I mean, I just saw the reviews of it, and I was like, no, I'm not touching this. Yeah, which is too bad because I mean, Arcane is one of those. Both those, that was just one of those studios where I was like, yeah, they're gonna. I was excited for Redfall. I mean, even co-op with immersive sim gameplay, like cool.
It would have been great. It had potential, but it just didn't reach it.
Maybe someday they'll get it. I think it is a good idea to, even if you did be like a follow-up on Moon Crash with more of like a co-op spin, like that might be interesting. But it's a bummer. It was a bad situation. Obviously they had to get that game out. It sucked for Microsoft because that obviously was one of their big releases, and I think they've recovered with Starfield, but that's a company that needs all of their exclusives to hit, and it was just such a bump. But
have you ever played Fallout 76?
I have played a few hours of Fallout 76.
So I had that pre-ordered and I played, and I was so excited. I remember when they first announced it, my first thought was oh, I'm gonna be a raider and fuck with people all day. This is gonna be awesome. And I had it pre-ordered. I was at the E3 where they were showing it off, all that stuff, and then that beta demo came out, and I played that beta demo for 2 hours, and I canceled that pre-order. I dodged that bullet so fast, and it was gnarly. Then I will say this: my sister-in-law stuck with it because she plays it with her brother, and I know just talking to her, it's there. I know they've gotten it fixed. They've added kind of there's NPCs in it now, so it's like a multiplayer
There's a lot more
game,
story as well.
More of a single player spin to it, and I know it's there. There are still, unfortunately, that launch was so bad. There are still people who are like, Fallout 7.
Yeah.
No, kind of. It seems like it went the way of a No Man's Sky or
it did
say a Cyberpunk.
Yeah, it did kind of get its redemption arc a little bit.
That first beta though.
Yeah, I played the beta as well and did not like it that much. Gave it some time, and I then played it some more, and I liked it more the second time when I played it on Game Pass, but I also didn't have anybody to really play with at the time, so I didn't play much more. But I had an okay time. I still don't think it's amazing from what I played. This has still been a while back. They've added a lot more since then, but
they rushed it, man. I think Bethesda, I think it went along with probably, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, because some of this is just my own guess, but I feel like it was an aspect of why they let that Microsoft purchase happen was I think they were financially struggling, because you saw, they rush out Fallout 7. They started doing games that just weren't the type of games that they did, that were clear, attempted money grabs. You had Fallout 76 and then Wolfenstein Youngblood, which is probably one of the most disappointing things I've ever played.
The craziest thing is that's an Arcane Machine Games collab, and it still isn't great.
I know. It's like, how did this happen? And then I remember booting it up, and it's like, there's the microtransactions menu, and it's like, God damn, you guys. And obviously now that the purchase has happened, it's like we're not, it's not a factor anymore. So in that way, it was probably good, but
I binged that whole Wolfenstein series. Then I got to that game and I said I'm never going to beat this game because I don't like it.
I did exactly the same thing. I was going through a hiatus on games for a while, and my girlfriend was just like, "Hey, why don't you just switch everything off and play some games on your own for a few weeks and just chill?" And I decided to redo all the Wolfensteins, and I got up to Youngblood because I hadn't played most of the new ones.
Yeah,
I got up to Youngblood and I'm like, nah. It just
dude, I don't think Wolf 2 gets as much credit as it deserves.
Oh, I love Wolf 2. That gets unnecessarily shit on by people. I feel like I don't know. I've had some discussions on Wolf 2, but Youngblood was It's such a great premise. It's like, we're playing as the twin daughters. Like, it's co-op. It's gonna no. It just was so basic and blah. And you know, especially like, yeah, because I mean, New Blood was great. What was I? New Blood. New Blood. Old Blood. Sorry,
Old Blood was good.
Old Blood.
New Order.
Actually pretty good.
New Blood is great, but yeah, Old Blood is I love that.
I was surprised by Old Blood. I was expecting, I wasn't expecting much from Old Blood. I was like, oh, this looks like a bit of a homage to the originals.
Yeah.
Let's have a
it's
look
good.
at this. And then when I actually, yes, exactly. And I was just like, hey, it's a bit of a thing for other fans, I'm sure. And I jumped in. I was like, whoa, this is quite nice. This is quite unique. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, I actually like Old Blood more than New Order, funny enough. And it's actually kind of a good thing, but I actually got into Old Blood before New Order.
Yeah, that's cool.
I was going to pick up New Order from Walmart or something, and I was like, ooh, what's Old Blood? And then I looked it up, and it said it was canonically the first game in the series, which it is. And I was like, okay, I'll just get that one. It's about half the size of the other game, but it was like regular game, then it became a zombie game, and then I was sold. I mean, they give you a double-barreled sawed-off shotgun. You ride in on a little boat, and then you go into the town, and you're just freaking blowing zombies apart left and right. You know, and then you're fighting these monstrosities, and then the final boss against that weird, just crazy monster thing. Like, it was just got really cool, and I was like, I did not expect this at all.
Yeah, it was such a great throw because, you know, New Order, it was such a different vibe in terms of the story. Like, it's so interesting because New Order kind of went back to some of the, you know, I remember when that game was first coming out and they showed BJ Blazkowicz, and I was like, oh, it's like the old school design of him. That's interesting. But even going into it, I was like, well, you know, we'll see how this is like. It's probably just going to be kind of basic and throwbacky. Nothing wrong with that. But I was like, eh. And then, you know, like the first cutscene, he's like talking about wanting a family and like settling down and like his dreams. And I'm like, whoa, this is a little bit of a deeper thing.
New Order's like,
and
deep.
I loved it for that, but then going to Old Blood, it's like, nah, man, we're making Wolfenstein. This is old school.
Yeah.
It's just,
Old Blood is like is like
cool.
playing a Doom game. You know, it's just like intensity all the time. But then he kind of slows down in New Order, and he's like, well, you know, I mean, you know.
Well, this is the thing with New Order. I was actually super surprised. Exactly, that's the thing. I was super surprised in actually how deeper the games went, like completely, because I was excited. Doom Eternal, Doom 16, Doom Eternal, and now going to the Wolfensteins, which I hadn't played at the time. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure, you know, like the old games is just going in, blowing shit up, and that's all fine. But actually getting down into the story and then that interaction with his father, I think that was New Order, right? When he, interaction with his father and the whole shebang on how that all works out. I'm just like, damn.
Yeah, it's deep. It's deep.
That was,
but then
hectic.
Then we get Wolf 2, and they turn it up like a million notches. You start the game off in a wheelchair, blowing Nazis' heads off. First thing, just.
Yeah, but I'm just
that was the coolest shit ever.
Sorry, there's so much of this game. Yeah, it was so good. And that was something I was going to mention now with Viscerafest as well. About like when we're talking about games and stuff like that, what counts as innovation for a specific genre of game or a specific style of gameplay and things like that. And I know it sounds like it seems silly, but if it's just different, it tries to be a little bit more different, but still being fun at its core. You know, and I'm just, that's what you got me thinking now with Blazkowicz in the wheelchair and stuff. I was like, I wasn't expecting that at all.
It's a solely unique thing. Like, it was very different and super unique, but cool.
Trying new stuff out, you know, trying different stuff with the story. You know, people get down on that game because often just for the story. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's so over the top, and it's like Wolfenstein isn't.
Dude, well, it's ridiculous. Also it's like if Quentin Tarantino made a video game though. Like it's like the most Quentin Tarantino video game ever made. It's so him in every way. It's just out there. It's weird. It doesn't make sense. It's just. Everything's crazy and gritty.
Favorite favorite part of that game. I don't know if it's offensive, but it makes me laugh my ass off. And spoilers for Wolfenstein 2. But the end, when his wife like murks like a group of Nazis, like shirtless and pregnant, and covered in blood, I laughed my ass off. And I remember sitting there thinking, I'm like, yeah, that's the great, however many grandmothers of the Doomslayer right there. Fuck yeah, she would do that. Like I loved it. Yeah, like the whole game was so. And I remember seeing reviews for it, just like, oh, it's too goofy. That's so over the top. It's like the game where Hitler was in a mech suit. What are you talking about? This is the most Wolfenstein shit I've ever seen. It's great.
I know the scene. That was the perfect scene.
Yeah, that was amazing, dude.
It still cracks me up so much. She's just like, and I'm like, this is amazing.
I thought that was interesting that they put Hitler in the game on the moon, like doing that whole scenario.
I love that they let you kill him and they give you a trophy for it.
Yep.
Or achievement.
Yep.
It's so good.
That's crazy good. But I want to kind of like segue back to Fallout 76 for a moment, because I was actually really excited for that game because it's actually within my neck of the woods. So I thought that was really cool, and I was like, hell yeah, because I was always like, man, the Fallout games are amazing. It'd be cool if they were set like where I live. Then they were, and it's like the worst Fallout game. It's so sad.
I did like that aspect of it, because one of the things that sort of disappointed me about Fallout 4 is I just didn't think it felt different enough from.
Yeah, it's more like Fallout 3. It's another city like area.
And Washington and DC and Boston definitely are their own vibes. I mean, especially but like it just was. I was like, man, I wish you did.
The way they designed it was pretty similar, though. Like
very similar, and I like that they tried something different. I mean, if they make they will make a Fallout 5. What am I saying? I hope they do, honestly, like somewhere in Europe, so maybe somewhere down south, or south. I mean, like maybe Mexico,
I would really like to see a Fallout game in another country, because we've seen between Fallout 1 and if you somewhat consider the Wasteland games, and then like all the way to Fallout 76, we've seen a lot of America. Okay, like we've seen a lot of America. Which that what makes me want to shout out Wasteland 3 for being a Fallout-like game, but it's in Colorado and snow. Like, tell me a post-apocalyptic game that's in an actual apocalyptic winter, a nuclear winter.
Yeah, like we got a break from the deserts, Wastelands in the first two Fallout. It's like, well, those were California, but like, Nevada, California. I love, the Wasteland games are so dope. I had a great time with 3.
Yeah, 3 is the best one, probably, I would say.
Where would you
also
guys
the easiest to get into.
If you had to have another Fallout, where would you have it?
Somewhere in Europe.
Like,
personally.
Somewhere in Europe.
Yeah. Prague.
France.
Throw that out.
Prague. I would like to see one somewhere in China.
That'd be cool.
Because of the fact that the main war was between America and China, and I would love to see how they're doing over there. It was confirmed, like in the war, the entire world did get destroyed. So it's not like there's any other countries where, like, they're just living their normal lives, and they're like, all those guys just blown up.
Like a Thursday for us in Africa, though. Honestly.
Oh yeah, well.
No, but I think it would be cool to see it in Europe. But I do agree, like. Wouldn't it be interesting then, like that European Russo-China theater? Because, and I'm thinking of the Metro games now as well. When you start to see, because I could see that, like in a world war, you can see how that entire spectrum is connected, different railways, different. Yeah.
I actually think Metro Exodus does the post-apocalyptic stuff a little bit better than the more recent Fallout games to a degree.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, Exodus especially.
Yeah.
And especially the variety in Exodus, because of like you got your more swampy areas, you got your metros, you got your more woodland area, desert, and you got a lot of variety. You good?
Sorry, they're building an entire building next door to me, so they decided to start work apparently. Sorry.
Right in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm sure that helps with the sleep.
Oh yeah, it's that, and then you have a guy in his green Lamborghini, which they've rented out this weekend, screaming down the highway, because then there's no one on the road or the cops, so it's a whole
nice
thing. The duality of Dubai.
I went through that shit in Los Angeles when I was still living there, and I moved to somewhere way quiet. But yeah, no, I know what it's like to be woken up in the middle of the night by someone high on coke just flying down the road in a car or helicopter.
Yeah.
God knows what, or homeless people screaming.
Anyway,
So, I think, let's see. What other things would you guys like to talk about for the last little bit? Because I think we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. Hyacsho's on the verge of sleep deprivation over here, and I got a few things I got to go do, but yeah, I mean, what else you guys got to mention or anything? Any videos coming up? Any cool games you guys are thinking about checking out or maybe have checked out? Anything like that?
I have a video coming out on Tuesday. I've been teasing it all week, and if you pay attention to those teasers,
you have.
I think it will make sense. If maybe, maybe some people have figured it out, but that I'm excited for. So check that out, and then yeah, I don't know. What about you, Hydra?
Me, I want to do it. I just want to do a shout out. So one of the I played a whole bunch of demos the other day on stream. Steam Next Phase demos, just a few that I found and things like that. Two standouts for me, and there were quite a few, but I cannot wait for The Last Exterminator.
Yeah, dude, that's a good one.
Have you played that, Kirk?
Strong demo, yeah.
Strong demo,
yeah.
solid.
Strong demo.
And
so Duke
I
Nukem.
you know, and I want as many people to play that demo as possible. It's excellent, but at the same time, in the next breath, a double A, single A, doesn't matter. I was just surprised. The RoboCop game.
Yeah,
I
figured you were going to bring that up.
Bro, I think it's kind of double A.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, I'd say it's double A. But I mean, the thing is, no one asked for it in inverted commas. But when it came out, I was like, okay, this is going to be horrible because most movie games are. And I played the demo and a little buggy here and there, but damn. That was fun.
It seems to be a pretty good step up from their Terminator game, which I still need to play.
Yeah. No, so so when it comes to that, I don't remember when RoboCop is actually launching. It's sometimes now. But this month,
November something.
Is it?
I think it's early November. Let me double check. But
it was a good experience. It felt good. I mean, yeah, everyone's like you're a slow moving tank.
Yeah, but that's RoboCop.
That's fine.
It's RoboCop simulator, so of course.
Yeah, but also it was interesting to see how they were still spinning in the story of RoboCop, like the original movie, the first movie. I like both, but I like the first movie more. But it was such a surprise. So I think if I had to do the most surprising game this year for me so far, it was definitely RoboCop so far. I mean, I could probably go and find a proper one, but I mean, in recent memory, RoboCop.
I think someone said that you can do the like you get there's certain sections where you get to stand at the door and like do like a Papers, Please kind of thing where you're checking people's stuff and all that in between fights and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you think of it, Kirk?
Yeah, like it's so funny. The studio, and it's November 2nd, by the way. That's when it's coming out.
There you go.
But like, that developer Teon, like their trajectory has been so interesting because they did this horrific Rambo game. And then I remember like Terminator happened, and that was such an interesting situation because that came out, every like major like mainstream journalist, the IGNs just shit on it. But then it was sort of the influencer community was like, this isn't that bad. This is all right. I played it, and I definitely didn't think it was as horrific as the mainstream journos made it. I didn't love it. My review's up there. You can go agree with me.
It looks like it feels a lot like
I got the feel right.
Homefront the Revolution in that gameplay area. Don't know if you ever played that. It kind of has that like jank to the gameplay and stuff, but it has that like jury feel, but they kind of capture what they're trying to capture with it pretty well.
They captured the atmosphere of RoboCop well. There's gameplay stuff I just didn't love about it, and story stuff that was kind of just blah. But like the atmosphere of Terminator they got, and there's a mode where you can actually play as like a Terminator, and that is actually super, super, super fun. But then with this, like, going into RoboCop, like, the word's still out. The level design's pretty simple. It kind of almost feels like a rail shooter at times. But I'm telling you, man, especially as someone who grew up much like you, I love the first RoboCop movie. The second one's watchable. We don't talk about the third. And like when you first take out that gun and blow someone apart, I was like, holy shit!
Dude,
like
there it is.
I was like, whoa! Like this is awesome! Like just the feel of it, and like the character modeling. They got Peter Weller's like big old luscious RoboCop lips. And
I mean, I feel like if you play it as like
dope.
RoboCop the game simulator type thing, like it feels like it's perfect. I mean, whether it's going to be like a hard game or not, I don't know, but it didn't seem to be one. You know, I mean, like unless they just introduce something crazy later on that'll just wipe the floor with you, I don't know, but
we'll see. I mean, I can see how the game, like, I think that what I played is awesome for a demo. The question is, okay, can you sustain this throughout the whole experience?
Yeah, for like several hours,
But really great first impression. And like, yeah, I felt 100%. Like flipping RoboCop. I felt like him, which is awesome. So yeah, I'm stoked.
Oh, well, so for me, those are the two things I wanted to shout is that RoboCop is just such a surprise. And Last Terminator is just going to bring it home for me in terms of, well, I was very impressed. I was very happy with that game. I mean, there's so many amazing demos and so many amazing games that were announced both at Realms Deep and Steam Next Fest now recently. Yeah. We're eating very good. We're eating very good, guys.
This last Realms Deep was like, even though it was 4 hours of holy crap, that stream was nuts. But it was just like
long.
But so many good looking games in there. I mean, I think Realms Deep has a shot at being like the NDE3. Like, I really want them to grow it and grow it.
I think it has that opportunity for sure.
Yeah, because I think they did Realms Deep, I've been covering Realms Deep since, the first years of my channel, and seeing how they've grown and like improved, and it's, the games in there, and everyone had a great showing. Everyone did. Well, Phantom Fury was but like, everything had a pretty good showing, and we got release dates, and I loved, the stuff with like Wrath. Like, I heard just through the Discord sphere, like what was actually going on with Wrath. And the fact that they actually brought the developers of the games that people have been patient about. Yeah. And it's like, this is what happened. This is the technical issues. It's like, yes, just like some people will be assholes, but like, just tell people what's going on, especially with Kingpin. The source code's gone. Most people go, oh, well, no wonder. Like,
no wonder. Exactly.
Yeah, it's good to explain that stuff, especially, I mean, maybe if you start small like that, maybe it'll become more normal for AAA to do it as well.
Yeah, well...
But I agree.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, I remember, and even though we're still waiting for it, like, you just reminded me of, just because of the AAA thing. It's like when Nintendo restarted development on Metroid Prime 4, and they just told people, like, we restarted, it wasn't working, Retro Studios is doing it. And I was like, and that's rare for them. And I was hoping back then that would encourage others, and they still don't. It's like, you just tell people what's going on, man. Like, most gamers will understand. Yeah. Or like, if they don't understand, do it in a way like, we can't have Alana Pierce coming out and like explaining this shit every time stuff goes down. Like, just tell people what's up. And I don't know, I'm sure there's like a lot of like, I don't know, business reasons why they're afraid of that. But it's
just like a lot more stuff finally came out about Gollum, about that game, about the crunch, and they were forcing them to make 2 games at the same time. They were going to be releasing like 6 months apart, or like a little over half a year apart. They were going to be making a Wizard game as well that they canceled. And I and the publishing side of that and everything, man, like they knew they were releasing a crap game. They knew that they were not going to be able to get out what they wanted to get out because, I think as far as Nacon, they just wanted money because Lord of the Rings. So they pushed it out as much as they could. And now that studio completely obliterated their development team that only existed for that game and went back to just publishing.
Yeah.
But also people had had no cool about anything. Like, people just they were so horrible to like the developers for no reason.
You know what? The thing is, it's just, people are going to be dicks. A lot of people are going to be dicks, and we know this, and which sucks. But I think good publishers with good people there, but can actually do a pretty good job when it comes to their comms. Like we saw at Realms Deep when it came to Kingpin. As soon as I said, "Oh, it's gone," the source code is gone. It's just like, okay, well makes sense. I mean, like, makes sense. But I mean, the transparency, there's always this double-edged sword. I mean, me working in Crisis Comms for a little bit as well, it comes to this thing of like, it can go either way, and then it comes down to like, do you tell them and risk massive fallout. I don't think you're going to get, personally, I don't think you get massive fallout because you're being honest. People, especially this day and age, people love a bit of honesty. But then there's also, it's just like, what harm could it do just by telling people the truth? In fact, it might get them on your side in some ways. You can turn some of these normal fans into advocates, which is kind of what you want. Now, for me, who had a bit of a passing fancy with games like Kingpin and things like that, I'm all like, I have a lot of respect for you guys now, a lot more respect. I think I'm going to go and check you out a bit more seriously. And that's kind of that's the best case scenario you want when it comes to comms, advertising, and publishing. Not the whole stupid fucking JPEG on Twitter and a weird apology that doesn't really make sense. You know,
AI generated nonsense that, you know, doesn't.
Yeah, did you hear about that? Shit.
Yep.
So horrible. Why are people this way? I don't understand. But it is what it is, isn't it?
I don't know.
Man.
But unless you got any other thoughts, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Got anything else you want to say? Yeah. Hey, it was awesome having you, Hyacsho, once again, and having you, Kirk. Hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Was my pleasure. Awesome. Kirk, it was good to see you.
You too, man. Yeah. Great podcast. I would love to be on again. Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Thanks, guys.
Same as always.
All right. Well, it was good having you guys on. I'll talk to you guys sometime later on. See you guys.
All right,
thanks, guys.
That's good.
Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.